Welcome to Manhwa Recaps, spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Huge shout out and special thanks to the channel members. The manhwa starts by showing us a snowy scenery and some bloody footprints in the snow. As they continue on, we see a man running. He's clearly confused and scared, and he says that it's so cold and wonders what the hell is happening. Specifically why he's being chased. As something flies straight past him, it grazes his thigh, causing him to fall over, and he begins screaming from the pain. As he starts crawling away, someone approaches him, saying that if he was going to run away, he should have done a better job, and he'll make things easier for everyone if he just dies obediently, saying that surely he agrees. And we learn that his name is Ubekjin, and he wonders when things started to go wrong, saying that if only he didn't make a bet back then, he would have not become a character in a game. We get a flashback to him reading something on his screen. Somebody asked if he wants to make a bet, and their name is the XX Supreme Lords. Bro's gonna cut himself with all that edge. He says that if he clears the game with the route he proposes, then he'll grant him a wish. We see the man in his original body asking if he's gonna make him rich or something, as he's never seen anyone try to make a bet with others in the chat room before. He sighs, saying that he was finally able to clear the game using Ubekjin, and he wonders where everybody else went. And we learn that the name of the game is called Heroes Road. It's a game where gates are connected to another world, and monsters flood out of said gates. The modern world is the setting, and they control the hunters that fight those monsters. The game received a lot of attention on the day of its release because it had growth and adventure both. Inside of an elaborate world with hidden elements and 5 different characters to choose from. Despite being a single-player game, it was insanely popular. However, that only lasted for a while. A year after its release, the total number of users that succeeded in clearing the game was 0. The 5 different characters die easily, and the game is over. When they die, you have to start again from scratch. It has a hellish difficulty and an average clear rate of 0.1%. If you break the average clear rate down, excluding the first character and protagonist Han Chang-woo, the rest of them couldn't clear the game nearly as many times. The only person to have cleared the game with the character Ubekjin was the man we see right before our eyes. He sighs and looks down at something on a screen, which is the number of people online, only 1 out of 200 for the chat room, which means he is alone in the chat. He said there were more than 10 people on before, and that this game really is a goner. Or maybe everyone moved out to a new chat room without him. Turns out this is a little before earlier, as that's when the Supreme Lord entered the chat, which caught him off guard. The Supreme Lord said that he can't believe there's someone still here, as he thought he kicked everyone out. The man wonders what he's talking about, and when he asks him, the Supreme Lord says this is unexpected, but he did make a promise, so he'll keep his word. That's when the whole bet thing happened, and the man sat there laughing, asking what will happen if he fails. The Supreme Lord says if that's the case, he'll think about it when will happen, asking if he'd like to give it a try. He wonders if failing will have no consequences, saying that this dude's acting hella suspicious. The Supreme Lord says that before he accepts this, he wants to know if he's completed the game completely. The man says of course he has. But before he presses enter, he says that if he tells him that, he might go around telling others about it before he gets the chance to brag about it himself. They say that if you stay a hardcore gamer too long, you'll naturally turn into an attention seeker, and it looks like the saying's true. But this might be his only chance to get everyone's attention, and he doesn't want to let this go away. So he tells him that he's finished it with every character except Bekjin. The Supreme Lord says that he guesses he'll have to check, then says never mind, as no one would be crazy enough to clear the game with all the characters, asking if he wants to make that bet. The man realizes he's acting hella sus, but says that even if it turns out to be fake, he's got nothing to lose and tells him to go for it. The Supreme Lord says that he's the last one, and he's been the best among all the players so far. Of course that's true, because he's the only one who's cleared the game with every single character. So no matter which route they propose, it won't make a difference. But as soon as he accepted the bet, his entire vision went hazy, and everything started to get disorienting. He grabs onto his head, wondering why he feels so dizzy, and the Supreme Lord says this is no longer a game. It is going to become a reality for him. As the man continues clutching his head, he completely falls over face first on his keyboard, and the Supreme Lord reminds him he's the one who chose to do this. When he then opened his eyes once more, he was staring at the snowy ground and stood up to look around. He wonders what exactly was going on and where he is. He then notices his hair in his face and asks why the hell it's so long, saying that is weird. He then glances around, spotting a group of men, and they greet him. And one of the men says that he finally found him. Baekjun recognizes him as Shin Woo-hyun and wonders if he's dreaming, as he's seeing a game character. Woo-hyun says that he mentioned before that he was going to train today. Baekjun says that even his lines are exactly the same as in-game, and Woo-hyun apologizes to him, saying that today's training will be much harsher than he thinks, because his older brother wants him dead. An attack flies straight by Baekjun's shoulder, injuring him, and he clutches onto it. Woo-hyun says that he was actually aiming for his heart, and he didn't expect him to twist his body to dodge that, and he supposes that even with that weak body of his, the blood of a sword saint still flows within him. However, that ends here, because as long as he's alive, he'll be nothing but the shame of his clan. He will kill him here for his sake, and since he's trained him this whole time, he'll give him a painless death. Baekjun says that this is actually happening, and it's not like this is a game or a dream. But he realizes that he shouldn't be thinking about these things anyways, because right now, if he messes up at all, he will die. He sighs, saying that he needs to calm down first, and it hurts like hell, and he can feel the blood dripping down his arm. But he immediately starts folding once more, wondering what the hell is going on because bro is panicking. He then recalls the Supreme Lord's message, saying that it's going to become a reality for him. Now with everything starting to make more sense and the puzzle pieces being put together, with him being chased down by a game character, he realizes now that he has become none other than Baekjun. He doesn't know what happened, but he does need to survive first, and he's played this game countless times. He says that he needs to remember the countless times that he challenged this game with Baekjun. The start of his route is very simple. Woo-hyun looks surprised by something, and it's because Baekjun started to haul absolute cheeks to get away as fast as he can. Woo-hyun and the rest watch for a second, and he starts to feel a little disappointed, it looks like. Back to what we saw earlier with Baekjun screaming while falling to the floor. Woo-hyun says the line about him running away, asking if he agrees. And Baekjun says that he just needs to go a little more. Woo-hyun tells him that at least he won't be lonely on his way to the afterlife, and after he kills him, he'll kill his other servants, including somebody named Choi Seungmin. Woo-hyun asks if he has any last words, and one of the other dudes wonders why the blizzard is getting stronger all of a sudden. As they all glance to their side, there's a very strong gust of wind, which they find a little confusing. Baekjun says that if he's that curious about his last words, he'll tell him what they are now, and he tells him to piss off. Which makes bro angry, and when Woo-hyun asks him to repeat himself, we see a wolf fly in from the side, which surprises Woo-hyun, and we see blood flying. We see that it was the wolf that died rather than Woo-hyun, as he's glaring down at its corpse. He wonders why an ice wolf is here, saying that maybe it's because they caught its attention due to Baekjun screaming. He then hears more screaming and turns, only to see his people being eaten alive by the ice wolves. He says he can't believe that they're frightened just because of a pack of them, and that most of the kids here won't be very useful in the future either way. So it's not that big of a loss, but this pack of ice wolves is pretty annoying. He says that he needs to deal with them quickly, but before that, he needs to deal with Baekjun. As he glares back to see what he's doing, he doesn't see him anywhere at all. Further into the woods, we see a hole, and we hear Baekjun grunting as he's holding onto his thigh, propped up against a tree. He wonders if maybe he mixed the wrong combination of herbs, saying that this shit hurts a lot. A status window then appears, saying that although he is unskilled, thanks to his understanding of medicine, he has created a new ointment combination. This catches him off guard, because it says that he has used an unnamed ointment, and his injuries will now heal, and he will have a high cold tolerance for a short while as well. A bright light begins to appear as he looks down, seeing it on his thigh, and he sighs out of relief, saying that he did mix it well, but that doesn't make sense, and while he doesn't know about other characters, there's no way he'd forget about this route. As it took him 2 years to beat it, he for the first time looks a little relaxed, but sighs anyway, saying that he knows that he's so screwed, and he wonders why he had to be Baekjun of all people. He explains the Sword Saint clan, which is located in Korea's Sirak mountain. It was founded by a skilled man called the Martial God, who helped to resolve the gate incident that occurred long ago. Although the Martial God disappeared after some time, the Sword Saint clan grew rapidly thanks to the books he left behind, and situated itself as a reputable clan in Korea, and one of the 5 children who have the right to succession in that family is none other than him. He says that, thanks to the ointment he made with the herbs, he stopped himself from bleeding out and freezing to death, but the effects of the ointment only last for 30 minutes at most, and he needs to think because he doesn't have time, and his decision will determine his fate. Since he saw a status window just now, it means that Hero's Road system still exists. He then calls out for the status window as it appears directly in front of his eyes, and he says that it's just as he thought. Then we see his stats, which are absolute ass, and that he has no traits, abilities, or skills. He says that seeing this himself sure is disheartening, and he's basically just a walking scarecrow, and because his route starts with a fatal injury right off the bat, it's even more hopeless. If you let your guard down for just a bit, or make a mistake, you'll die from excessive bleeding, along with someone tracking you. He did buy some time with the Ice Wolves, but Woo-hyun isn't an easy guy, and he has an artifact too, so finding him is just a matter of time. And his abilities are the worst, he also has no items, so there's a lot that he needs to think about on how to survive from here on out, and moving forward, he knows what he has to do, as there's only one way for him to live, he has to head through the Forest of Mazes. It is his only way out. After a while, we see the Ice Wolves' corpses on the floor, and a lot of the students look injured. Woo-hyun then sees a shining light on his chest, and one of the other students says that it's the tracking artifact. Woo-hyun says that he'll make sure to catch and kill him this time, and they realize the direction it's pointing as the Forest of Mazes. Woo-hyun tells everybody to prepare to risk their lives, but says this much is necessary in order to be acknowledged by Tarang, and receive the position. As Baekjin continues running forward, growing more tired with every step, he explains that the monsters are humanity's main enemy inside of Hero's Road, and are exterminated at the hands of hunters. Depending on the form of the gate and the monsters, the difficulty varies greatly. There are different categories, such as ones that are easy to raid, tricky, or those with difficult monsters. But there is an area that all hunters consider difficult and avoid. As Baekjin hides behind a tree, we see a giant creature slither past him, and he explains that this is the area he's in now, which is the Sirak Mountain, as there is a giant serpent moving past him. He says there's nothing like it elsewhere, and it is a living hell. Since monsters build their own ecosystem and live in it like beasts, this area has become a place hunters avoid. It's obvious, but Sirak Mountain is not a place where the current Baekjin's weak ass should have come without a guard. If you're wondering why he is here, it's none other than his master, Woo-hyun, as he has been his instructor ever since he was young, and he supports the other brothers instead of Baekjin. While those brothers were gone, he was ordered to kill Baekjin. In order to kill him, he brought him here to the mountain, which means that when the player spawns in as Baekjin, they have to survive in the snowy fields and return to the clan. That's the standard method to tackle the route in the beginning. However, it's not that simple. Baekjin says he found it, and says the reason he's been going around all this time without returning to the clan is because there is an unrevealed secret in the mountain, a place nobody has visited. In the Forest of Mazes, deep in the core of the mountain, there is a hidden opportunity. We see a tombstone that reads, "Those without the courage to lose their lives, those without eyes like cool-headedness and a broad view of the world, should leave this place." Woo-hyun and the rest are also reading this. One of his companions wonders if they're really going to enter the Forest of Mazes, as tons of people have gone and died, and she's wondering if it's even smart. Woo-hyun tells her that he understands she doesn't like it, but he needs to confirm the corpse, and she shouldn't worry too much, as they have the artifact to track him, so they can't get lost, but there is something that is bothering him. He doesn't remember Baekjin ever being this brave, and says that it's as if he has become a different person. Bro is observant. As they keep staring at the tombstone, Woo-hyun says that he's moving, and there isn't much snow covering the footprints, which means it hasn't been long since he passed by here, and he couldn't have gone far either since he's injured, and they are to pursue and eliminate him immediately. Further into the woods, Woo-hyun raises his hand, getting them all to stop, saying that they're going to continue down this way, and they start doing so. The woman from earlier seems to think about something, and says that it feels like they're just going around in circles, asking if he's sure this is the right path. He asks if she's forgotten where they are. She asks what he means. As she steps on somebody's corpse, she looks down to her side, seeing their body, and realizes what he meant now. As he reminds her, this is the Forest of Mazes and you can't tell if you're going the right way, or if you're just looping around the same spot. The dude they just saw probably wandered here hundreds, if not thousands of times, before dying. As that is the fundamental nature of the labyrinth, so if she doesn't want to wander here until she dies, she can't let her guard down. We see Baekjin propping himself up on a tree, and he is gassed the hell out. He says that he feels like he's about to die, and it's moments like this that remind him how amazing medicinal herbs are, but more than anything, this feeling, he can tell it instinctively. Death is lingering around him. He said he can't believe the Supreme Lord did this, and he should have warned him of the risk beforehand, and that he was totally fooled, but it was his choice in the first place. Then again, he says he doesn't know if it matters. He also lied that he didn't fully clear the game, and his stamina has now reached its limits, and that it should be around here. I don't know what he sees, because there's way too much damn fog, but he obviously sees something, as he says he found it, and that this, right here, is actually the end of a labyrinth, and we see a cliff. He says when he first got here, he was filled with nothing but despair, and he thought he had found a way out, but it was just cliffs. He thought he had just wasted time, yet it turns out it helped him this much, and now he just needs to stay completely focused. He turns around, saying that it's about time, as we hear Woo-hyun screaming out his name, saying that he's surprised he ran all the way here. Baekjin says that he's not even calling him formally anymore, and Woo-hyun starts taunting him, saying that even after all that running, he only ended up making it to a cliff, and unfortunately, his meaningless resistance ends here. Baekjin asks why he's doing this, and if he has become Tarang's dog. Woo-hyun asks if he's only figuring that out now, saying that he has decided to support Tarang, as his strength is what truly suits the Sword Saint clan. Baekjin says he had a feeling, so he tried getting a reaction out of him, and he's sure that this is exactly like the actual game. Now that he's confirmed it, wasting any more time is dangerous. Since if he delays any longer, he'll freeze to death. The bleeding in his arm continues, as we see it pouring into the snow as he falls to his knees. He realizes that this is bad. As he starts panting, he says that frostbite is not the issue, and at this rate, he's going to bleed out and die. Woo-hyun says that all this talking wasted too much time, and he's going to die before he even gets to attack him. Rather than letting him die a slow and painful death, he'll just end it quickly, as this will be the last mercy he'll show him. Baekjin struggles to stand up, saying that that's kind of him. Since this is the end, he'll tell him something too. He smirks, which makes Woo-hyun realize he must definitely know something, and Baekjin tells him that it's a single use, calling him a dumbass. Woo-hyun gets pissed, and swings his blade towards him, sending out a ranged attack. Baekjin leaps off the cliff, but still gets cut in the side in the process, and screams, and Woo-hyun watches as he plummets down the cliff all the way towards the bottom, and there's nothing left behind except the bloody pool from where he was standing. One of the dudes says that they think he's dead, and Woo-hyun says that they won't even be able to recover his body, and they should go back for now. But he doesn't know if Tarang will believe him though. He raises the artifact up, and starts twirling it, but there is no response at all. The rest wait for him to start guiding the way, and he starts panicking, wondering why it's not activating, and if this means that Baekjin was telling the truth. Some monsters then start appearing, saying that they can smell human blood, and Woo-hyun and the rest look surprised as a whole bunch of orcs start making their way forward. Woo-hyun realizes that he is screwed. As Baekjin continues to fall, a portal opens at the bottom, and teleports him through it. As we see lightning being flung around, he lands, finding himself in a cavern. He starts coughing up a ton of blood, and struggles to crawl, panting heavily as his vision is getting blurry. He looks up, spotting a golden book floating in the air. Baekjin stretches his hand out forward, grabbing onto the book. We see his arm beginning to shake as his vision starts to fade out. He slowly falls forward, straight up planking on that hoe. But the book is still in his grasp, and it says that the martial god's book has verified his qualifications, and blood relations have been verified too. It is now verifying his physical attributes. It says that he has a body of 0 talent. As we see him on the verge of death, something starts to lift his body up as we see a golden aura envelop him, floating him in the air. The status window says that it is forcibly awakening his dormant martial god's blood using the current system. His eyes start to shine as lightning surrounds him. They glow very brightly, and then we see a giant surge of light. The book says, for anyone reading this, you are likely one of his descendants, whose name he does not know. And during his life, he sought to record all martial techniques in this world. But with his life nearing its end, he now leaves behind this book. Even if he dies, This book shall continue to record new martial arts that appear in the world, and to please use it for a just cause. Baekjin smiles, calling out to his ancestor, saying that he will definitely use it for the right cause as we see him fully healed. The status window says that he has acquired the Martial Gods book and the Heavenly Martial Physique. And his body will automatically improve as well. And that all attribute ratings have increased. We see they have all gone up a degree, and he now has the unique ability of Martial Gods book, which is X rank, and his trait of Heavenly Martial Physique, which is S rank. As he's staring down at the book, he says that he's glad that it actually worked. His ranking increased, and more importantly, he obtained an overpowered unique ability and a trait. In Hero's Road, there are no levels, and instead everything must be earned through grinding, traits, skill proficiency, and so on. Among the hardest routes in this game is the Tarang route, which is notorious for its extreme difficulty. What makes it manageable, however, is the acquisition of unique abilities and traits, which is the reason he came all this way, risking death to get them. The first trait to examine is the Heavenly Martial Physique. The trait increases both stat growth, speed, and skill proficiency gain, plus it occasionally unlocks new skills. It boosts his power a lot as well, and it's pretty overpowered. It's going to be the biggest stepping stone for his growth. And finally, the unique ability, Martial Gods book. He explains that unique abilities are special powers that only one person can have. They cannot be passed down through training or sharing, and no one else can learn or copy them. And that it's so overpowered, because if a skill exists in this world, it can be learned through this ability. And it's not just limited to martial arts. Whether it's fantasy-based techniques or anything else, as long as it's a combat technique, it can be learned. He says it's a bit unfortunate that he can't learn magic or alchemy, but there are plenty of other methods for that. First off, he opens his status window. He says that he has received points, and he wants to take a look at them. It also mentions that he can accept a new quest, and he clicks on his points, and it starts to open what he can buy with them. We see 4 techniques, and he says that they're all useless. What he needs isn't sword techniques. In his current condition, fighting would be suicide, so he doesn't need them. But this mobility technique is one that lightens his body and improves speed, agility, and reflexes. Whether it's in combat or escaping, this is a fundamental skill, and it's useful at all times. And once his proficiency with the Martial Gods book increases, he'll be able to do some pretty interesting things with it. He says that now all that's left is for him to pick a quest. The first one is called Catch Me If You Can, and the second is Sorry, Ancestor. Please help me be a righteous bandit just for today. He says this will be cleared eventually, so he'll skip it, and what he needs to look at is the second quest, but the name is so damn lame. A door begins to shake open on the side of the cave, and he says that this quest, even though it has a really dumb name, accepting it will open a complicated maze-like path, and if he finds the exit, early stage rewards await at his destination, and it's essentially the clear reward for the Martial Gods tomb, which is going to be a piece of cake for him. As he walks forward, he says that he wonders how Woo-hyun is doing, saying that he'd better have escaped. As we see one of them getting dragged by their heads, never mind, it's just their head as they've been decapitated. When we see somebody watching from a tree, and it's none other than Woo-hyun, he starts to shake with fear, and hears a weird sound to his left, and when he glances over, he sees the giant serpent from earlier biting at him. All that's left is blood from where he was standing, and Baekjin says that he's probably run away by now, but escaping from the forest of mazes is not easy. As he's looking at all these herbs, he wonders if he's got them all. He has the sun herb, the fire spirit herb, and the fire ginseng. He says that this should be everything he needs, and if he just opens that chest, he'll clear the quest. He does so, seeing 2 items, which is a 1,000-year snow ginseng, and treasure keeper's pouch. He has collected all of the tomb's treasures, and the quest has been completed. As a reward, he has been given 500 points and something called the Black Demon. And now, the Martial Gods tomb will now be destroyed, and since it's fulfilled its role, it'll take him to the surface. We see something else appear behind the chest, and he smiles, saying that if you think about it, there's a certain romanticism about this, a tomb under a cliff. And it's one of those classic clichés that is truly befitting of a martial god. The problem is, they always hide secret inheritance in ridiculous places, like the forests and mazes. Still, he guesses it's fair, because the harder the struggle, the better the reward. He then thanks the tomb for the items one last time, and we learn what the black demon is. It's the new drip he is rocking, and it greatly increases his defensive power, and can heal wounds. As he teleports out of the cave, we're taken outside to the main gate observation post for the Sword Saint clan, as it's snowing heavily. As we see a man playing on his phone, someone tells him his ramen is done. He says he'll go get it in a minute, and keeps playing. But he dies because he is hot ass. The guy wonders what kind of pattern this is, saying it's not normal. As we see Baekjin in the window, getting closer, the guy turns, asking if it's a monster, and then realizes it's only Baekjin. And Baekjin tells him to go get Seungmin. The dude asks what he means, and he says that he's not repeating himself, and to bring Seungmin here now. It jumps to Baekjin running through the snow, holding onto his arm, and feeling something behind him. When he turns, all we hear is a scream and see blood splatter. It then jumps once more to somebody asking if they think he'll wake up. He says that he's been asleep for 4 days now. As he mentioned before, it's not because of an injury. We are introduced to the physician of their clan named Yo Jaongwon. We figure out who he's talking to is none other than Seungmin, saying that if it's not because of an injury, then why is he still asleep? Jaongwon says that he's not sure. He doesn't know exactly what happened to him, but he doesn't seem to have any injuries. As a matter of fact, it looks like he's healthier than before too. Seungmin says that he doesn't look too good. Jaongwon says that it must be because he's having a nightmare. Baekjin then opens his eyes widely and screams, and starts panting. Seungmin and Jaongwon both look happy that he's awake, and Baekjin's just confused, asking if this is a dream within a dream. Seungmin is confused, and Baekjin looks around, saying there's no way. As he runs over to the window, he puts his hands on it, opening it, seeing people training below him, as there's a whole group of trainees for this sword clan. They're even talking about going to gates that are in the western region, and Baekjin just watches from the window, asking where he is. Jaongwon says that this is the Sword Saint clan, which is also his house. This shit looks pretty grand. Baekjin now realizes that this is not a dream and looks depressed. Jaongwon says that he seems very disoriented, asking if he's hurt anywhere. Baekjin says that he has a slight headache, and Jaongwon says that it seems like he needs some medicine, so he'll go get it. Seungmin says he'll go get him food. Baekjin tells him to wait, and Seungmin asks if there's something he needs. Baekjin asks what day it is, and Seungmin says that it's the 15th, since he was asleep 4 days. Baekjin asks about the year, and Seungmin tells him it's January 2035. A status window then appears, and Seungmin leaves, saying that he'll bring the food. As Baekjin's staring at the status window, he says that's right, and there's no way this is a dream, as it's said that he's cleared the quest and has 100 points, and he sighs, saying that he's just safely returned to his house. Some time later, Baekjin's sitting at the table, thinking about what he has to do from here on out. He's returned home, as per his wishes, but this place isn't necessarily safer than where he was. This is the annex of the Sword Saints clan, where many struggle for power, and inevitably, children of powerful clans fight for control over it. Tarang is the oldest son, who wants him dead. There's also Youngyin, the eldest daughter, Kanggo, the third son, and Min, the fourth daughter, and finally, Baekjin, being the youngest of all. Originally, there were 3 more children, but they were killed by Tarang, and you could call it a common power struggle among siblings, but it's safe to assume that Tarang will become the successor, as he is the most likely to become the next clan head, and all the other children are aware of this. So the quick-witted Kanggo joined Tarang, and while Youngyin had already half given up on becoming the successor, Min has no interest in doing it. So if you're wondering why Tarang killed his younger 3 siblings, it's because their beloved brother is someone who actually puts this kind of nonsense into pure practice about how he won't look over the possibility for future disputes, and he will be the guaranteed successor. He's not leaving any space for a possibility of someone else threatening him. In other words, he seeks absolute power. While Baekjin's eating, he says the shit is gas, and to sum it up, the main villain of this route is none other than Tarang. And since today is January 15th of 2035, it means it's the same date as in the game. In 2 years, their father, Muak, will pass on the position of clan head to Tarang, and if he doesn't do something about Tarang until then, he will die to his hands. Baekjin sits up, saying that he guesses he has 2 years, and he can't take any longer than that, and once Tarang takes over the clan head position, his power will be absolute. Baekjin thanks Seungmin for the meal as he goes to get the dishes to clean them. Baekjin says that Tarang is out to take care of the gate in the Sirak Mountains, so he'll be back in 2 months. Baekjin says he'll be back soon, and Tarang tells him that he hasn't fully recovered yet. Baekjin decides that he should take this chance to become as strong as possible before Tarang comes back, and that this family is ruled by power. In other words, if he becomes stronger, he can be acknowledged by the clan, and thankfully, in the Sword Saint clan. As he stands right in front of the medicine room, he smiles, saying that there's a lot of great teachers, and he needs to become stronger first. As he pulls on the door and opens it, we see someone grinding away at some herbs, and it's none other than Ja Ong-won. Baekjin says that he's here to see him. Ja Ong-won turns, and Baekjin apologizes for entering without his permission, and the first thing to do in order to grow stronger quickly is to become Ja Ong-won's disciple. He says that he came up here because he couldn't find her downstairs, and if it's not too much to ask, he wants to know if he can look around for a bit. If you've watched till the end, comment, to let me know. Subscribe for more videos like this, leave a like or a comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.